right, here we are in lesson 1 of chapter 4, talking about United States citizens. So what does it mean to belong to a country? What do you think? Write down an answer. What do you think it means to belong to a country? Down here you're going to find some new words: citizen, naturalization, introduce, and there might be a couple new words that you don't know. And if there are, write them down. Here's Carlos. If Carlos was in our class, he would be in our class, right? But let's see where Carlos is from. It was Carlos's first day at his new school. His teacher, Mrs. Miller, introduced him to the class. She told the students that Carlos and his parents had just become citizens of the United States. A citizen is a person who belongs to a country. Mrs. Miller explained to the class how people become citizens. One way is people who are born in the United States are American citizens. That's how most of us were. How most of us became citizens. But this is how Carlos became a citizen. People also become citizens through naturalization. Naturalization is when a person becomes a citizen of another country. So Carlos's family came over from another country, and now he and his family are citizens of the United States. Many of the students in our class were born in the United States, said Mrs. Miller. Some students, like Carlos, were born in another country. Mrs. Miller asked the students to introduce themselves to Carlos and tell them where they were born. So if you were to introduce yourself to Carlos, you would say, "My name is," whatever your name is, "and I was born in." Write down where you were born. Most of you were probably born in Illinois. Most of you were probably born in Springfield, Illinois, to be a little bit more exact. Sometimes you can use a timeline. A timeline shows the order when things happen. So you can create a timeline of when things happened in your life. All right? So if you wanted to, you could draw a picture of you today and put the time. So that would be the year, 2020. And you could draw a picture of you 5 years ago. So that would be 2015. All right? So depending on, what you wanted to do, you could totally do that. But I do want you to go back to page 98, and I want you to draw a box around the 2 ways people become citizens. I'll give you a clue. They have stars next to them. Okay? So make sure you go back and do that. Whoops. There we go. All right. A little bit more about becoming a citizen. Things happen in order, right? So when we have a timeline, we might even say first, next, and last. That's what you should be using when you're writing. Remember, when you're telling me an order of a story. First, then, next, last, finally, whatever. Okay. So, it says, Carlos's parents went to a special ceremony where they pledged to be loyal citizens of the United States. Okay? That's one thing they did. Carlos's parents signed papers saying that they wanted to be citizens of the United States. And the last box tells us that Carlos's parents took classes in English, American history, and citizenship. Then they took a test. So what do you think happened first? Do you think his parents went to a special ceremony to pledge to be citizens? Do you think they signed papers saying they wanted to be citizens? Or do you think they took classes to become citizens first? Which one? We're going to say that they signed papers saying they wanted to be citizens. What do you think happened next? Do you think they did a ceremony, or do you think they took classes? I would think they probably took classes. Oops, except I can't put that up there. There we go. I think they probably took classes because if you think about graduation, you take a whole bunch of classes in school, and then you eventually get to go to a graduation ceremony. So I think this is probably the ceremony. Let's see how we did. When Carlos's parents became citizens, he became 1, 2. So it looks like we did that correctly. Good job. All right. So becoming a citizen. People born in this country are called citizens. A citizen is a member of a community, state, or country. When immigrants come to the United States, they're not citizens. To become a citizen, they must first promise to make the United States their home and obey its laws. Many immigrants become citizens. Okay? Do they all? No, but most do. Okay, here's a quiz. A blank is a person who belongs to a country. Is that a naturalization, a settler, a buyer, or a citizen? Except I can't. It won't let me click on anything. There we go. A citizen is a person. Blank is when a person becomes a citizen of a new country. Is that naturalization, settler, buying, or voting? When they become a citizen. Hopefully you said naturalization, except I can't click the square. Where was Carlos born? It's a good question, isn't it? Do you think he was born in Canada? No. England? No. Mexico? Or Florida? Well, Florida's in the United States, so it can't be Florida. And Canada and England, I don't think he would have the complexion he has. So let's go with Mexico. What was the first thing that Carlos's parents had to do to become citizens? Did they sign papers? Did they write papers? Did they take a test? Or did they go to a ceremony? I think they signed papers. So let's see. And then, what was the last thing that Carlos's parents had to do to become citizens? Signed papers, wrote papers, took a test, or went to a ceremony? They went to a ceremony. Let's see how we did. Woo! 100%! Good job! Yay! You guys did awesome. Alright, so, what does it mean to belong to a country? You are a citizen. When you belong to a country, you are a citizen of that country. And you should follow the rules and anything that the country establishes that you should follow. Just like at school, we have rules to keep us safe. Countries have rules to keep you safe as well. All right. So, on page 100, here's Carlos's story that we didn't get to. So Carlos was born in Mexico, and they moved to Florida. Okay. My parents became citizens through naturalization. They signed papers, they took classes, they took a test, and then they went to a special ceremony. Down here, you're supposed to draw a picture of Carlos with the American flag. And it says children do not need to go through the steps of naturalization. When their parents become citizens, they do too. Okay? Down here, what does it mean to belong to a country? You're a citizen. You belong. All right. If you have questions, let me know. You should have a packet of worksheets that goes along with this. And stay tuned for a video that kind of goes over those as well.